Well, hello, people. Hello. Yeah, this podcast is a show special. It's a business show special that we're doing. And this show's been sponsored by a knight in shining armour. Yeah, I'm going to talk a bit more about the founder and business owner for that business. Yeah, her name's Amanda Knight, and what she does, she helps businesses look at their finances, look at their cash flow, and keep them active. We're going to cover a few areas of that and what she does for businesses. She's got a great background working for the government. No, not a secret agent. She was involved in financial services, and she knows what she's talking about. She's been there, and we cover all out. We had a really good chat. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this show special. Okay, people. I've got a guest in the studio today, and we're going to have a bit of a chat and get to know her and get to know what she's doing in the business. Because, as you know, I do podcasts around business, adversity, dyslexia, and everything in between, and obviously the music stuff as well. So this special podcast, special radio show, is a business-based one, and I've brought an individual in who wants to know a bit more about their business, what they do, and how that can help you out there if you're in business, because that's what it's all about. These shows are aimed to help you as well as to entertain you. So good morning, good afternoon to you.
Hello.
Could you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Amanda Knight, a knight in shining armour.
Brilliant. A knight in shining armour. And obviously you've taken your business name, you created your business name from your actual name, haven't you?
That's right.
So for everyone listening, can you give us a bit of background about yourself and what what you've done in the past, why you're in business now, really?
I grew up in a fairly normal household. My dad went out to work every day. Sometimes we'd be away working overnight. And then eventually he set up his own business when I was 12. And everything seemed perfectly okay, continue as normal. And then it dawned on me, actually it wasn't continuing as normal. It was a bit new and scary, and what happens if it failed?
What, his business failed?
Yeah, what happened? What would happen? We might be out of a home.
Oh, right, yeah.
Shock.
Yeah, that's, I mean, for everyone that is in business, and obviously including myself, and the thing that goes through your mind all the time is what happens if that business I'm working with or that client I've got or where I'm up to fails. Where am I then? It is quite a scary situation to be in, isn't it?
And it's this sudden realisation that things weren't always as easy as I thought, naively. And if things went wrong, we might be out of a home.
Yeah, which is not where you want to be, is it? It's
exactly.
Not what you, and you don't want that as a you don't want your and we often don't think about that as adults, that our kids are worried, oh, my mum or my dad or the family have got their own business, whatever they do. We often neglect to think that how they're interpreting that, because the stereotypical family unit is one of the parents or both parents go and get a job, don't they? A proper job. Yeah.
And they just have a salary and that's it.
Yeah. So has that set you on the path to where you currently are with your business and what you're doing business-wise, you think?
It gave me some early business experience, because I used to work for him in my holidays.
Right.
Before I was 16, I couldn't work in the factory, but they started off with an office in the back room of the house, and I started doing bookkeeping.
Oh, good. So, and that's great for someone setting up their own business or being in business herself. I know somebody else who's in business, and that's what happened with her. She started off doing the accounts, and I think that's what she does now, is actually help people with their business and their accounts because of that experience that she's had when she was younger. And you find most business owners, not everybody, but most business owners come from a family background where there's been an entrepreneur or there's been a business in the family. It sort of pushes more towards that.
I think so, yeah.
Subconsciously, doesn't it?
Definitely.
So that's your early years, worried about whether you're going to have a roof over your head because your dad's got his business. But the business never failed then? The business carried on?
No, it was successful. Eventually he had a really good offer and he sold up.
Oh,
and then retired.
That's brilliant. Always have an exit strategy when you've got a business. You should always be thinking, how am I going to get out of this business, even though you know no one love it and you've built it up. So where does that take you from there then? So you've got the bit experience from your dad's business and your family business, and so obviously you've got your own business now. So what happened from then to now?
Oh, I started out working with one of the corporates for a couple of years, and then I sold my soul and went to work for the government.
Oh my goodness.
Someone's got to do it.
Well, yeah, not the government, or don't like or don't. We do need that in place, and whatever government we're in, we'll think the same. So we won't get into the political angle, but at the end of the day, we do need the government, regardless what people think, because we need law and order, and we need people to work in that sector to facilitate all the bureaucracy that comes along with that,
and try and cut through the bureaucracy.
Yeah,
we live in hope.
Right, so it sounds like you've got a good grounding for life and business with what you've been doing. So you've obviously been working in a government agent, as a government agent, as it were, not secret agent, a government agent, and then so you've moved then obviously to start your business. When did you start your business, or have you?
Well, I got diagnosed with MS and work got rather complicated and a bit too stressful, and I went part-time, but in the end they gave me early retirement on medical grounds. But I was only 38, I wasn't ready to retire.
Yeah.
I needed something to do.
Yeah, and just because you might physically have impairments, whatever they are, because there's obviously a lot of people with a condition, your brain's still active and you're still physically active, because obviously I know you from networking and see you about, so yes, you might have issues with certain things and with that, which is not a nice condition to have, but it's nice to see that people don't let things like that stop them doing things. I think it's wonderful.
No, I'm definitely going to do things. It might take a little bit longer, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, exactly, and I wish you all the success with that. I'm sure you will be. So yeah, that's quite a blow then, to be diagnosed with MS and then obviously retired. So you're almost forced into doing something else, aren't you? So what the likelihoods are, yes, you can get a job somewhere, but with that you want something that's flexible. I presume that's why you're doing it.
Yeah, well, I retrained as a coach and I started volunteering with a local charity for people with MS and other neurological conditions. I became one of the trustees and on the management committee, which is when I got the use for finances again, because most of my years in government were dealing with government finances. That's
a good lesson for anyone who use your skills and abilities you've had before to facilitate doing something to start a business. Even if that's not necessarily what your passion is, but I think it is your passion. But even if it's not your passion, it's something. Use your tools you've got around you and your abilities you've got around you.
Yeah, know where your skills are and work with it.
Because on that subject as well, it's quite crucial. I don't think a lot of people realise that cash flow and doing your accounts is vital to any business, because I believe a lot of businesses fail within the first couple of years, not because they've not got a good product or a good service, and not because they're not making profit. A lot of the time it's because they've got issues with the way they're managing the money, isn't it? So tell us a bit about that. I think you should, because you know more about it than me.
It's the common denominator between businesses small and large. That businesses fail due to failure to control the cash.
Yeah.
You can be a profitable company, but if you haven't got enough cash in the pot at the time to pay your suppliers or pay your tax bill, you're not going to survive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's quite easy to have money in your business. I know in the first year or so that we had a business where I thought I had X in the bank account, business bank account, thought, wow, that's wonderful. Look at all that money in there. That's great. But I did know in the back of my mind, and it messes you up, that there was a big chunk of it was actually corporation tax. When you took the corporation tax out, there wasn't much left.
And people don't always think about it.
Yeah.
Until they get the bill, and then it's, oops, how do I pay that?
So what I do as an example is I roughly calculate what my VAT is going to be on every quarter, what my corporation tax is going to be, just as a broad brush.
Yeah.
And then that goes away into a separate account every month. Yeah.
That's sensible.
And then so the aim is at the end of, say, the financial year's March, our corporation tax is already sitting and waiting for the following December when it's due to pay. So
yeah, that's sensible.
Yeah.
You're prepared.
But it's not always easy. The temptation is, I need that new piece of equipment, or we need that, or we've not been paid by a customer or whatever, it's very tempting to dip into it and not put it back.
I know, it's the risk. And sometimes you have to make sure you do put the money back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll forget, time goes on, and before you know it, end of the year, and same problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you've got the problems are going away. So the knight in shining armour, which is your business, and obviously you know a bit about you now and what you've done and why you do and what you're doing. So as a typical client of yours, what would you do? So say you was coming into my, my business. What's the sort of things you start to do and start looking for, and what do you do with a client?
I would want to see the books,
Yeah.
to start with, and get a feel for what state they're in, whether there's money sitting there that could be used in a better way,
Yeah.
whether you're covering your overheads properly,
Yeah.
because that's another issue that causes failures. If people that aren't pricing their services correctly, they could be selling us a loss, which isn't going to help anybody.
No.
And people can often charge more than they think.
Yeah, I've got a few examples of that. Won't go into detail, but where someone, a client I went to work for, some sort of situation that you're talking about, and they had quite a lot of turnover of cash. Turnover was quite a lot. It was, we're turning over, I don't know, 1.5 million or 2 million a year. But when you actually looked at it, when they were pricing up for a customer, we're saying, actually, this is costing you £1 to make this little thing that you make, but you're selling it for 80p. And the classic line that came back was, well, that's all the customer's prepared to pay.
Get another customer.
No, exactly. What's the point? What is the point of being servicing a customer, at a loss?
There isn't.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
But people do it. People do it because they want to see that money coming in.
Big supermarkets can manage it. They can sell things at a loss because they can cover it elsewhere. But small businesses can't really afford to do that. Demonstrate the quality so that the customer is prepared to pay more.
Yes, that's a really good point. So if you're competing on price in a business, that's not a good place to be, is it? So if you see the business down the road who's doing something similar to you, selling a product or a service at X, and you go, wow, they're selling at X, I need to sell it at X as well. You don't even know if they're making any money on it, do you?
No, quite often they won't be.
And then you're competing against each other and you just go into this spiral. I presume you'd say have less customers, more profit.
I would suggest they sell at the right price for them and for the quality of their product or service. If people aren't prepared to pay that, then I suggest they find some better customers.
Yeah, or they're not your customers. It's similar in our business. Some of the things we do, we one of the other business, we create art pieces, and some people come and go, oh, it's very nice, but I can't afford that. Well, okay then. But we're not going to sell it at a lot. We'd rather not sell it than sell it. There's no point, is there? Absolutely zero point in doing it. And you're in business. Every business is in business to make money. Even a charity. You mentioned a charity before. Even charities are in business to make money, aren't they? Make a profit.
Yeah, to survive.
Yeah.
So they can keep offering the service.
Yeah. So if people work with you then in your business, what do you do? Do you tend to just do a go in and review what they're doing and give them some advice, leave them with that and walk away, or is there multiple ways that you can work with
No,
it?
there's multiple ways. I'd go, obviously you start with the books because you have to, and then I'd look at what they were doing to manage the money. Have they got any systems in place? How they do the books? Is that manual? Is it scraps of paper? Is it receipts in a paper bag? The accountant at the end of the year.
And the classic one, and I'm talking about red streets of bits of paper. I've used a couple of builders in the past, and his dashboard is just strewn like a couple of nearly a foot deep in receipts, and you think, oh my goodness, you are not gonna be. You're chuckling. Have you seen it yourself?
Yeah, well, they have accountants that are commonly known as paper bag accountants, because that's what they deal with at the end of the year. The client comes in with their big paper bag with all the receipts shoved in any old how, and they have to sort them all out and then do the accounts proper.
And that, from my point of view, must be more expensive in the long run.
Yeah, it takes time.
So you're paying someone to do that administration, but not only that, you could be, that big bag of receipts could be missing some of your receipts.
So you could be missing income anyway.
Yeah, income and claim, if you're VAT registered, claim your VAT back from what you purchased.
Absolutely.
Do you find it's endemic throughout business, like that, or do you think it's particular industry? Is it a particular industry that you need to work with, or is it a particular size of business that you need to work with?
Not a particular industry. It goes across the board. It's more the size. With a very small company, you don't have lots of people to do different things, and very often the business owner is the one that's having to do everything.
Yes.
And they haven't got the time.
And they do it because they think it's saving them cash, don't they?
Yeah.
So as an example, I still do all my own books because I've come back from managing large operations with multi-million pound budgets with a finance team. So I kind of know a bit about what I'm doing, and I do all my accounts. But if I do my accounts, it could take me a day to do. Finish off, say, me quarter end on one of my businesses. One of my other businesses takes me a few hours because it's less transactions. But having said that, so if that takes me a day and I know what I'm doing, because I've done it all my career basically, and it takes me a day, that's a day that I could be out earning money.
Yeah, which is what the usual answer is. Haven't got the time, we need to sell, need to find the customers.
You'd have someone who's consulting as a business earning anything from a couple of £100 to £1,000 a day, yeah, as a business consultant. Now, if that person's spending a day doing their own accounts, that's costing them anything from £200 to £1,000 and everything in between. So I'd say on average, a consultant or someone working out a business owner must be valuing themselves at £500 to £1,000 a day. So if you're doing your own accounts, that's costing you £500 to £1,000.
Yeah, and it's a lot cheaper to pay someone to do the work, do the admin work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not going to be on the same rates.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good point. So it's this catch-22 into where people think, oh, I don't want to outsource because I can't afford it, but actually you've got this hidden cost of your time and the company's time. Plus, you've not got an expert doing it. And if I'm putting you on the spot, I'm presuming, but if do you often go into businesses and look at the accounts and go, this seems a bit weird, this is a bit strange, and it's the first time they've sort of understood it.
Yeah, because a lot of businesses don't actually understand the book. Come across some that don't know what a profit and loss column is or what a balance sheet is. They've never heard of break even.
And that's a bit of a problem, isn't it?
It is, because they're the ones selling at a loss usually.
And wondering why they can't do the stuff and they're running around, grabbing the next customer at any cost.
Yeah.
And then so it's on a vicious circle. So by bringing someone in now like yourself, and I love the name because it makes sense, a knight in shining armour, is it? Am I got it right?
It is, yeah.
A knight in shining armour. That's what you're coming to do. You're coming to rescue them from their woes, aren't you? Financial woes.
That's the plan.
Obviously, you can't generate. You're not a magician. You're not going to come with a magic wand and go, poof, there's a few grand for you, are you? From nowhere. They actually have to be physically earning it by coming in and taking that pressure off them or looking at it should make them more profitable.
I can show them where they can find a lot of the hidden money just by setting sensible systems in place and planning. And I can go through it with them. I can show them how to actually create the physical system on the computer if need be. It doesn't have to be a big, expensive, scary package.
Yeah.
Just a few spreadsheets will do it.
Yeah.
Small business, it's all you need.
And then you can move on as your business grows. You can move on to new packages.
Yeah.
You? So, because there's lots of packages out there, where does someone start to select a financial package? Because there's various models out there. There's online ones that link with your bank account. What do you think of those type of things?
Well, I'm trialing one myself.
Right.
So far, so good. And then I've used other ones with charities, but they still need to do the books. And there's other ones that are bigger and scarier and cost a lot more.
When you're looking at massive organisations that are global, they tend to look at things like SAP, don't they, which is a finance system that people use for their whole supply chain. So, but you're talking mega books.
Yeah, you don't need anything like that.
Not as a small business.
No.
Well, as an example, you've got one extreme from the other, haven't you? You've got going from a piece of paper, which we don't advise people. We don't advise that. From a spreadsheet, which most people can use a spreadsheet, can't they? Right through to a multi-million-pound business that's using systems that have authorization levels and things like that. So and then everything in between.
Yeah, I think the majority of people will be able to fill out a spreadsheet these days. We've moved on from the days where I had to protect every cell in a spreadsheet, apart from the ones that I wanted people to fill in.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure that they didn't get destroyed and the formula's lost.
Yeah. Oh, it's not working, this. And you've got, great. Really good. Really good. Yeah, I've been there and got the T-shirt for that.
Because there was a lot of people across the office. I was in charge of the budgets for a government department. Some of the people that had to put bids in for money weren't financial people.
Yeah.
They were the people in the areas doing the work.
Yeah.
And very often you had this isn't my job. No, but you won't have a job if you don't have a budget. So
Like
they'd have to come to terms with this newfangled thing
Yeah.
called Excel.
Yeah. And that's the thing with a lot of people in the, and especially in certain businesses, when you've got multiple departments, they get compartmentalised. Like, no, well, that's finance deal with that. Oh,
Yeah.
HR deal with that. Oh, that's the health and safety guy deals with that, or girl, being politically correct. But if you're in business and you need to get this culture in, you're all responsible for everything that goes on in the business, because the business is not just one thing in isolation, is it?
No.
Not just the product. Yes, you might be very passionate about this product or service that you deliver or sell, but you need to be on board with all the other aspects of it.
Absolutely.
Well, we've not even mentioned how people can get hold of you yet, but we'll do that now, I think. So if people listening think, actually, I'm a business, I need some advice, things aren't working out quite right for me, how would people get hold of you as an individual?
My email and web pages are being redesigned at the moment. The website will be aknightinshiningarmour.com and my email will be amanda@aknightinshiningarmour.com.
Brilliant. So go and check them out, people. Obviously, if you're listening on the podcast and you're listening when this is repeated, that should all be in place. So just go and check it out. And you can always come over to me at Duggystone Radio Facebook page, and I can hook you up with Amanda as well, because I know her. So anyway, if you've got any issues, just come and give us a shout. So that's how people can get hold of you, because that's quite important, because I'm hoping there's people listening going, yeah, that's me. I need help with that. I might have to have a word with Amanda, get her in, because that's what we need, don't we? We need to. And do you find, I think one of the issues people have is they're embarrassed to ask for help.
I think very often that's the case.
Yeah.
They feel ashamed that they should be able to do this better.
So.
And nobody's perfect.
No. And I imagine you don't go in with a party blower and a clown's hat going, ha ha ha, you've made a right mess, do you? Do you know what I mean? Because that's what people are bothered about, aren't they? You come down as an individual going, what have you done here? And all that stuff. It's people have got to get over it, that there's no harm in asking for help, is there?
No, it's the best thing to do.
Yeah. Because it becomes, then, you can get to the point where it becomes too late, and the business that you've grown and love and want to develop for yourself and your family in the future, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, it's better to feel a bit embarrassed by asking for help, when that's your area of expertise. It's no different than going to the doctor when you've got you've got an ache or a pain, or you want a builder to come and give you a quote for your extension or whatever. It's just exactly the same thing. It's just another service using another expert trained individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't not go to the doctor because you're ashamed that you're ill.
Yeah. So have you got any people listening now? I know we talked about it earlier on, but just to refresh people's minds, what would you advise people, even before they even contact you, to think about doing?
Planning, not spending all your money. Hey, we're making a profit. Don't spend it all.
Yeah.
It might be a great idea to invest more into the business, but sometimes you need to keep some cash, because cash is king.
Yeah, because if something happens, and I know an individual that did that first year of their business, made shed loads of money, and then reinvested it all into the business, refurbing the factory and the business and all the rest of it. And that year, the sales dropped, so I ended up having to fold it after. So 1 year, brilliant. So what you're saying is, so you might have a bumper year like this year, 2018. If you keep some of it back as a buffer, as it were.
Yeah.
In, say, 2019, if you had a low year, you could weather the storm, ready for 2020 when you come back up again.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is an issue. You see a lot of people doing that. It's...
Well, the other thing is you might not get paid when you expect to be paid.
Yeah.
That's another big problem for small businesses. They don't have the buffer that large corporations have, and the larger corporations are a bit sneaky.
Yeah.
They don't like paying that money.
Yeah, I get it. So, as an example, if you've got a business that's financially viable and is going through a bit of a low point because sales or something's changed in the environment, is there a way of getting funds into the business from somewhere else that's not going to actually destroy them in charges and things? Is there a way of getting short-term money or something?
There are, but there are always going to be charges.
Yeah.
And it's pros and cons. You'd have to look at the case individually to see whether it's worth it.
Yeah, and that's what you do. That's what I actually the question.
Yeah, I can definitely advise on that.
Because there's a natural human thing to survive and do anything to survive. So if you put that into a business context, a bit low on funds, I'm just going to borrow money and I'm just going to get it from wherever I can. And then if you've got massive interest on that, then you're just going to eat up to whatever progress you actually do make, aren't you? You're just going to go down. Yeah,
well, very small businesses, often the tactic is just borrow on the credit card.
Yeah.
Which is never going to help.
It's that 20-30%, which is, yeah, I know people that have done that as well. And that was they had a department, it wasn't a tiny business, and that's what one of their finance team was doing at one point, was using multiple credit cards just to keep going till the end of the month and then get some money and then start again on the credit cards. Wow.
Fighting fire is not a long-term solution.
No. So what would you do in that instant? Well, you can't give specifics, but just broadly take us through that sort of thing. What would you do with that?
First of all, I check to see how much money they're owed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they're the people that aren't being paid and they need to ask for the money.
Ah, I see.
So often businesses don't realise they can actually be firm. They can phone up and say, you haven't paid, this bill is overdue. Yeah. And you could demand it. If need be, you could take people to court.
Yeah. Which you don't want to get in that situation. But yes, if it's your business going to go under then and they're not paying you. And picking up on that point as well, which you'll probably see, and I've seen a few times, and is where, because you're a small business, you obviously you might be supplying a larger organisation, and what a lot of larger organisations have long payment terms. So not 30 days or instant, it's sometimes 60 and 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the business, your small business, when you go and buy your services and products, virtually have to pay instant.
Yeah. And you need to avoid that. You can't let them dictate the terms of your business.
Yeah.
You decide whether people need to pay you in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or immediately.
Yeah. So if you've got a big customer who owes you quite a few £1,000s and you're not going to get that for 90 days, and then you get, after buying product that's more than that you're coming in, before you just, I can imagine that's how you get a lot of people in problems.
Yeah, they get bullied.
Yeah.
So there are ways you can stand up to the bullies, but you need to set out your terms to start with.
Yeah. So is that something you do, terms and conditions for payment terms as well? Yeah?
Yeah, look at that and say, well, you really do need to change this.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's clear so that everybody knows where they stand.
Just because you're a small business doesn't mean that you should be treated any differently than somebody else, is it? And just because you're dealing with a large organisation doesn't mean you have to let them abuse that situation.
No, it's all quite timely with a very large organisation going into liquidation and a lot of small suppliers worried.
Yeah.
They're not going to get the money. People have been laid off. They don't know if they're going to get jobs again.
That's sad, isn't it? And that's a classic of why we started at the whole start. While we're talking about it, this is all about cash flow and about, because we had a conversation about this the other week, they was trying to gain business to keep the cash flow in, to keep paying suppliers and paying their staff. So they were actually bidding ridiculously low margins, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a multi-billion pound business bidding for work and only putting a few % on top of their cost.
It multiplies.
Yeah, to reduce that cost. If you're only putting a 2 or 3 or 4% markup on what you're doing, it only takes one blip to actually wipe the whole profit for the whole thing out, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
That's why you're doing what you're doing, to help smaller business not getting to that situation, because that situation that's happening for these big businesses like Carillion is happening for, I don't know, Joe Bloggs down the road who's got a business. It's just that the numbers, the zeros are different, but the principle is exactly the same. I don't think people quite get that, do they?
They don't realise that Joe Bloggs will be wiped out.
Right, so that's not good, is it? Bit depressing talking about that organisation, and obviously it's been in the papers, it's been everywhere. It's very high profile at the point of recording this. So we need to stop that happening to these small businesses that we're trying to help, because that's what this show's about, that's what you're about. So what do you suggest we do?
I suggest we stop the problems before they start. Go into companies and help the business owners set up the systems that work for them, so they can spend the time going out selling, using their expertise, but with a system in place to solve the problems.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's really good, and I totally agree with you. So if you're out there now listening and thinking, things aren't going quite well, every month I'm like robbing Peter to pay Paul, using credit cards, you'll know what we're talking about, people. Or I'm bidding for work because I just want to get the work because I need the cash in, so I'm doing it at a loss, or I'm doing it for, you might not even know what you're doing. You might not even know that you're doing it for a loss, and that's the big thing that's coming through, I think, from what you're saying. Then the great suggestion is you get hold of Amanda and have a word with Amanda. So do you want to give us the website and all the details again so we don't forget it?
My website is aknightinshiningarmour.com, and email me amanda@aknightinshiningarmour.com.
Brilliant. Well, it's been wonderful to talk to you today, and I hope people get something out of it. And please, 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 if you think you've got any issues, get hold of Amanda. Give her your details. She knows what she's doing. She's got a great background behind her, working for the government and working with loads of different businesses. So if you need help, raise your hand. She won't come in and laugh at you. She will come in with a practical, sensible, grown-up situation and sort you out. So thanks for joining us today, Amanda, and good luck with everything that you do in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much for Amanda for joining us on this podcast special. That was sponsored by, guess who? Yeah, A Knight in Shining Armour sponsored this show. Thanks for doing that, Amanda. Thanks for being on board, and thanks for spending time with us. Yeah, so if you're listening on a podcast, look at the show notes for contact details for Amanda. And don't forget to check out Duggystone Radio, that's DUGGYSTONE, where we have shows like this. We have music shows. We promote the best in new artists. So if you're an unsigned band, come and see us there. And until next time, people, Kirk out and see ya!
The Duggystone Show.